Hi everybody, this is Book S Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a Throwback Thursday review on the Toybiz Marvel Legends Fearsome Foes Spider-Man figure. So before we take a look at Spider-Man, let's go ahead and take a look at the only accessory that he comes with, his base. So Spider-Man can stand very well on the base. You get two pegs, and you get an image of Spider-Man right here. And that's pretty cool. I want to say this is Scott Johnson's art, if I remember right. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's who the art on this is from. And that looks pretty cool. All of the figures in this box set came with stands that came with a picture of the character, and I think that's pretty cool. So taking a look at this head sculpt, Toybiz did a very awesome job at sculpting this. I love how the web lines are actually sculpted and painted on. The web lines are sculpted down in the head right there, and the black paint looks really good. Now the rest of the figure with the black paint is a little bit inconsistent, but on the head sculpt, it looks really nice. So taking a look at the rest of the figure, Toybiz did such an incredible job at sculpting this figure. I love the sculpted on web lines, and that is something that I wish Hasbro would do. I love how they actually sculpted the lines down in there. The problem with this particular figure is that the black wash and black paint in between the webs is a little bit inconsistent. This is actually my second Fearsome Foes Spider-Man figure. My first one broke, and it was the same way. You can see that there's some black paint right here on the abs for the webbing right here, but there's not much of a black wash here. You get this really heavy black wash up here around the shoulders. And you can actually see where they started to sculpt the web lines right here, but there's actually none right here on his shoulders. So on the two that I do have, they're the same way. I don't know if it's like that on all of them, but it is kind of weird that the web lines aren't even sculpted on right there. I especially love the dark blue shading on his muscles. Toybiz did a very awesome job on that, and I would love to see Hasbro do that. That shading right there on the muscles on his sides, and right here on the legs, that looks really good. You get a little bit of shading right here, but it looks a little funny, especially with the pins that didn't get any shading to them. But that blue shading looks really good. It brings the details out very nicely. I love how that looks. Another cool thing about this figure is he does have his web wings. It's made out of this kind of mesh material, I guess you'd call it. It's very stretchy, and it looks pretty cool. You can see that on the edges it's gotten stretched out from posing him around a little bit, but I think it's very awesome that Toybiz actually gave us these real web wings. One of my complaints with the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man figure from Hasbro, the most recent one, is he had plastic web wings, and they were terrible. They limited the articulation. You had to switch them out between closed and open. I really wish Hasbro would have went this route. As you can see, it has stretched out a little bit, but I mean, this figure, I think it's actually 20 years old, so it's impressive that it's still all together after all this time, especially with the little pieces of elastic that slip over top of the elbow and the neck joints right here. Since this is a Toybiz figure, he has individual articulated fingers. They are more meant to get in a thwipping pose, but I think it's very awesome that you can actually pose that around. And the black paint that's on the webbings right there, that looks really good. Toybiz always did such an awesome job on their paint detailing. The sculpt could always be hit or miss, but I really love their attention to paint detail. You know, all the black wash, the black lines painted here, the shading on the blue parts. It looks fantastic, really. And down here on the feet, you get a black wash, and you can see where it's heavier on this left side than on the right side, but you also get some shading down here, and that looks really good. You get some excessive shading down here on his toes, and then the parts where you can see where it says made by Toybiz and all that. So yeah, the figure is a little bit dated by today's standards, but I still love it. The attention to paint and sculpt detail on this is crazy, and I really wish we'd see that from Hasbro. Sculpted web lines and some shading would go a long way on the new Hasbro figures. So now let's go ahead and go over his articulation, which he is actually articulated really nicely. You can get him in some really good poses. So he has a swivel neck that can look all the way up, it can look all the way down, his head can move side to side. He has shoulders that can move out that far. He has butterfly joints. They're pretty stiff on mine. I don't feel like moving them too much, because since this is an older figure, it could break. But he does have butterfly joints there. He has a swivel at the bicep, double jointed elbows that can bend all the way in, swivel at the forearm here, and of course articulated fingers. Each of these fingers are fully articulated. He has an ab crunch that can move back just a little bit. He can crunch forward all the way, he can crunch forward a good amount, but you can see where it kind of scuffs the paint up here a little. So that's a bit unfortunate. I did actually scuff it up just a little bit more by doing that, so definitely be careful with that. He has articulation here at the waist, and it almost feels like a ball joint. It moves side to side, and it feels like it moves back and forth just a little bit. So yeah, I think that might be a ball joint. He has ball jointed hips that can do a complete split. He can kick forward all the way. He can kick back all the way. He has a swivel at the thigh, double jointed knees, swivel at the shin that can move side to side, ankles that can move down all the way, up all the way, rock very slightly, and toe articulation that can move up slightly. So now, let's do some size comparisons. So first up, here he is next to Carnage from the same box set, and I do have the rest of the figures from this box set, but I couldn't find them at all. I definitely probably have them buried in a tote somewhere since I did retire most of those figures. Here he is next to the Sinister Six box set Spider-Man with 2 left legs. This is probably my Toybiz grail just because of the fact that he has 2 left legs. He looks ridiculous, but I had to bring him out for size comparisons in this review. Here he is next to the First Pizza Spider-Man figure from Hasbro. I think this was really their first super articulated Spider-Man figure, and you can see that this actually scales pretty well with that one. Here he is next to the new retro carded super articulated Spider-Man figure. Here he is next to the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man figure. I upgraded it to have real web wings like this one. Here he is next to the older Hasbro Lizard figure. This was a standalone release. I think it was like for the Spider-Man Origins line. And finally, here he is next to the Jada Toys Street Fighter Ryu figure. And surprisingly, he's a little bit shorter than this Toybiz Spider-Man figure. So overall, I think this is a really awesome figure, and even though it's a little bit dated, it's still one of my favorite Spider-Man figures of all time. Toybiz did such an awesome job at sculpting and painting him, and he has some top-notch articulation that hasn't gotten loose over all these years through posing him. So yeah, this is a very awesome figure, and if you can find one for a decent price, then I would recommend picking it up. So that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.